Love can be a very difficult emotion to describe, yet what it brings out in us can be so easily seen. It makes us feel things unlike anything else, and can be the driving force that motivates us to become the absolute best people we can be. While I myself haven't experienced much love outside of close friends and family, its curious yet soothing presence has managed to stay on my mind for quite a long time. When I think about what love truly means to me, it begins with a number. 2 complete human beings who have found themselves in another person, and who are willing to compromise for the sake of their partner out of the love and compassion they share for that person. The Mother series has always been subtle when it comes to the intricacies of love. The games like to give you just enough to grab onto in order to put 2 and 2 together. And to be quite honest with you, I really do admire this quality of a toy's writing. Keeping things gray instead of clear-cut black and white gives a lot of freedom to the player's imagination, and can help them connect to the story even further by allowing them to fill in the blanks themselves. Love has very rarely been the centerpiece to these stories, but when it is love's time to shine, its brightness can be truly impactful. There's a scene in Earthbound Beginnings that I've wanted to talk about for ages now. Very late into the game, Ninten, Anna, and Teddy find a cabin to crash at after a long, tiring, and well thought out journey. As the gang reach the rooms they'll be staying at for the night, Teddy decides that he's just gonna stay out in the living room for a little while longer, and leave these two to spend some time alone for a bit. Once these two enter the room, however, Anna asks Ninten if he could stay with her for a while, followed up with an invitation to dance. This innocent and playful moment they share here is a wonderful and heartwarming contrast to the adrenaline-boosting action from before, and a beautiful reminder of how simple things can be. The older we become, the more complicated shit seems to get. We become fearful when it comes to showcasing our more vulnerable sides. We put up walls to defend ourselves and play games with each other, almost as a test in some way, to see if the person who shares feelings for us is actually honest or deceptive in their motivations. Trust can unfortunately be lost with the sands of time. But here we get to see honest and innocent love take place in its purest form. She straight up asks him, "Do you like me?" Like, that takes some serious guts, girly. I'm proud of you. I think we've all had something like this happen to us at least one time in our lives. A certain connection, a spark to another person, even though we were way too damn young to understand what it actually is. A childhood crush, that's what I'm trying to say here. In a game all about subtlety and simplicity, this is without a doubt one of the game's greatest highlights, and a moment that's made a bit of an impact on me. Character development, baby. I love that shit. One of life's many beautiful secrets is found through soul-searching and self-awareness. Learning about who you are and discovering new things about yourself can not only help you find fresh and interesting ways to enjoy the life you've been given, but the endless possibilities of what you could discover about yourself gives every single day the chance to be the start of the next chapter in your life. One of the discoveries I made about myself had to do with love, or rather, how I perceived it. Like I said before, love, in my mind, was really only about a man and a woman cuddling it on up with each other. But I was only seeing things through the sight of a narrow lens. I was totally blind to everything else around me. Love is everywhere, you guys. It can be found in the breathtaking shine of a sunrise, the soothing waves of the ocean, and for the sake of keeping this thing on track here, love can be found within family, too. Earthbound embodies this sense of connection between your family members beautifully, yet it rarely brings it to the player's attention. Ness's story begins with a departure from his regular life, a goodbye to his sister and mother, two people Ness cares deeply about. Now, I've touched upon this in the past, but I'll say it again. The decision Ness makes here really does take some immense courage. throwing away everything you've ever known, all because a bee he is not from a meteorite told you to do so, is pretty sketchy. Because of Itoi's writing style and the way the game was made, it was completely impossible to convey what this decision meant to Ness, because Ness is a silent protagonist, a blank slate for the player to carve themselves into. Making him show emotion through dialogue would go completely against this design. So, the game devs got a bit creative with it, through gameplay. At this point, I'm sure none of you are a stranger to the elusive yet dangerous ailment of homesickness. It's an absolute mess to deal with in battle, like that's a given. But for the sake of character development and story, I find homesickness to be a brilliant workaround to Ness's lack of voice. While being a blank slate allows the player to place their own thoughts and emotions into the character, we can't forget that before we picked up the controller, Ness was a person too. Someone with hopes, dreams, and a family that he loves with all of his heart. Ness shows his love for his family through this homesickness effect. He misses his mother, his sister, that simple life he had before undergoing his quest to stop Gygas. Ness's yearning for the better days he shared with his family shows that he's not just some machine yet, but that he's just a kid, a human being just like the rest of us, only with super psychic powers. I don't know, I can just connect with a character on a much deeper level when I see them fighting through his or her inner struggles. By implementing homesickness in this way, as a very minor addition that you may overlook, it gives Ness some much needed personality. Not much personality, mind you, but it helps the player empathize and connect with the character a hell of a lot better. Love delicately balances on the brink of greatness and disaster. If handled with care, love can blossom into something truly beautiful, and all throughout this video we have seen some wonderful examples of this. However, if love is left out of check, it can be warped into a dangerous obsession. Mother 3 showcases some of the darkest themes in the series: greed, corruption, loss. But one of the more lesser explored themes is Flint's obsession with finding his son. Flint's character arc is one of the more interesting stories in the entire series, dare I say, the most interesting. Testing the strength and will of a father who's watched his entire world literally burn around him is cruel yet intriguing. In the past, I've talked about Flint's descent into madness, and how he rose up from the ashes to redeem himself. But this was only one piece to Flint's story, and unfortunately, the other half isn't as bright. Flint is mentioned very sparingly after the events of Chapter 1, the night he lost his wife Hinawa and his son, Klaus. Chapter 4 takes us through a 3-year time gap shortly after these events, and begins with Lucas and Boney going to visit their mother. To the surprise of absolutely no one, Flint is already there at the scene, for the pain and anguish he feels for his wife's passing rivals none other. Flint tells Lucas that it's time to talk to his mother now, and with that, a flashback ensues. This is pretty much just run-of-the-mill stuff going on right here, nothing too crazy. But it's what happens afterwards that's really interesting to me. After this flashback, Flint is nowhere to be found. Not a word was said to comfort his son, nothing at all. Flint just kinda leaves with no goodbye, something that we'll get around to in a bit, I assure you. The next time Flint is mentioned takes place at the beginning of Chapter 7. Lucas once again goes to visit his mother, but instead of finding Flint there, Lucas stumbles upon Napolite, Tazmilly's very own gravekeeper. The words Napolite gives to the player bring the sadness of that fateful night to the forefront of our minds once again. But along with it, Napolite shares some rather gloomy insight about Lucas's father's actions as of late. We learn that Flint spends every waking moment either with his wife or in the mountains looking for Klaus. An infinite cycle of failure and despair of his own design. Flint blames himself for everything, the village, his wife, his son, and I feel that he's doing this to himself for only one of two reasons. Either he truly believes he'll find his Klaus in these weathered old rocks, or that he believes that this is the punishment he deserves for not being there for his family. And because of this twisted, sick sense of self-deprecating punishment, Flint neglects the one final light he still has in his life, his son Lucas, who has had to fight on his own without the guidance and strength of his father to support him for way too damn long. And if we take a look on the past, we can see this all the way back in Chapter 4, where Flint left without a word to his son to go look for Klaus, completely abandoning Lucas in the process. And finally, we can see this take place during the final moments of the game. As Lucas makes his way to the final needle, he runs into his father for the first time in ages. And after all this time, after everything that has happened, the only words that Flint can bring to fruition are words about Klaus. He says he has finally found the son he lost, and that Lucas should be happy for his brother. Look, after analyzing this game over and over again for the sake of these videos, it's this scene right here that rubs me the wrong way. Flint's decision to completely abandon his son Lucas for the sake of chasing a lost cause is irresponsible and disgraceful. I can understand how Flint must feel, the guilt and the shame that he carries with him every single day. But as a man and as a father, it is your job to work through your inner demons for the sake of your child. And in this regard, anything less than neglectment would be an understatement to Flint's actions. Flint's love for his family has developed into an obsessive crusade, a constant reminder of his failures that completely shatters the bridge between himself and his son. He may believe that he doesn't need to worry about Lucas anymore, but that does not mean that he shouldn't. Each game in the Mother series showcases a unique angle to the brightest and darkest sides of love. Earthbound Beginnings depicts love in its purest form, a spark between the hearts of two individuals. Earthbound elegantly demonstrates distance and the strength that one must show to keep that fire alive. And Mother 3 brings to light love's darkest obsession that can reduce your life to nothing but regret, misery, and ruin. But what if I told you that there was something more? A side of love that presents itself in all 3 games of the series, and a side of love that can be found pretty much anywhere throughout your adventures. No, it's not in some secret dialogue box or anything like that. In fact, there are absolutely no words involved. It all takes place right here. Love is everywhere, and these kids show this perfectly by adventuring together, trusting in each other to guide them to safety, to defend each other when the odds are stacked against them. They share a friendship, a bond that can never be broken. And this, well, this is the greatest love of all. What's up, you guys? I hope you enjoyed this little thing I put together here. I don't know how long the wait has been since the initial reveal of the month of Mother, but I hope the wait was worth it. If you want to see what I'm up to on the side, I've got my Twitter link in the description. And if you liked what I put together here, it would mean the world to me if you shared this video around with a friend or two, something like that. It can't hurt you. I want to say thank you so much to all the support. It's just been great. You know, thank you guys for sticking with me for so long. And with that being said, it looks like we're done here. Thank you so much for all the time you've given me. And as always, keep on keeping on.